In this section, you're going to be building a file upload with React. We're going to be using Strapi as our backend, and your file upload component will have a file picker, your submit button, and once you select your file, it will also allow you to press the button and show you the uploading status and the percentage of completed. And once it's completed, it will show you a progress bar. So get ready for this. In order to get started, all you gotta do is you gotta install React and Strapi. This is part of my Complete Strapi course, which is at this point is over 11 hours of content. We build tons of stuff from portfolios, leaderboards. We build a lot of cool stuff, so check that in the link in the description for an amazing competitive price. Let me know what you think of this. Thank you very much for watching. As of now, I have a fresh React installation as well as a fresh Strapi installation. I just went on React and opened up app.js and deleted everything. Also went on app.css and deleted everything. So there's basically nothing. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder. You may see this, but ignore this. It's not important. I'm going to create a new file inside of the components folder, which I'm going to call file upload.js. And I'm going to import React from React, and I'm going to export default a class that called file upload, which extends react.component. So I'm basically setting up my class component, and I'm going to have a render method with a return statement, and I'll just put a paragraph that says file upload. So this is all we're going to do here, and I'm going to import it in app.js. So I'm going to type, and I'll delete this logo SVG because we don't use it, import file upload from the components folder, and then file upload file. And I'll just put it in the middle of the file right here. Okay, so at this point, I open up React app, and I can see that it's this way. What I'll do, just to make it look better, and you don't have to do this, is just for showcase, I'm going to set a div, and I'm going to call this div, I'm going to give a class name of file upload, and I'll copy this file upload class. I'll open up app.css, and I'm going to apply a rule. I'm going to have a border of 1 pixel solid #EE and border radius of 2 pixels. I'll also have a max width of 300 pixel and a margin of auto, so that it's automatically centered even if you see nothing. So in order to see something, I'm just going to go on line 8 and I'll type file upload. So now you can see that it's more centered. And in order to center it even further, and again, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new div right here to wrap around this file upload. And this div will have a class of vCenter, which is something that I already used in my various teachings. So I'm going to have class name of v_center, so that it's going to be vertically centering. I'm going to have .app, and .app will have a display of flex, and so that way it allows us to use the flex blocks model. And then I'm going to use the class vCenter. vCenter will have a flex of 1 and a display, actually align self of center. So that way it's gonna vertically center itself. This by itself will do nothing because app is still quote unquote small, so we want to make it taller, and the way we do that is by setting the min height to be equal to 100% of viewport height. So that way we can center the file upload in the middle. It's just gonna look better when we present it. You really don't need to do that, but you can take a couple of notes on the margin for the file upload. Additionally, I'm gonna add a padding of 12 pixel, 24 pixel, again, just to make it look better. So that way we have a little bit of space, it looks nice. And we can get started with the actual input field. Time to create the input field, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna open Visual Studio, I'm gonna go on file upload.js, and I'm gonna add a new input of type file, and that's gonna be it. And I'm also gonna have a button that says submit. Since I'm using input and button, I'm gonna use a form, so I'm gonna wrap this around the form. And that's something that I do because I like to use the form on submit event. instead of using the on-click on the button. This is because it brings better usability most of the time, so I would recommend using this. And the form on submit will call a function that I'm going to call handle submit, and since we're using a class component, I'm going to have to type this.handleSubmit. So I can define the function right here. I'll define it as an arrow function so that this is already binded, so I don't have to put it in the constructor and all. So I'll just type handle submit equals to e because we received the event parameter. I guess I'm not going to be lazy, I'll type event. And I'm going to event.prevent default to prevent the form from navigating away. And for now, I'll just type in console.log, and I'll type in file upload, and then the name of the method .handle submit, and there's nothing else to it. Now, when it comes to the input will have an event called onChange. So let's leverage that. We're going to type input onChange is going to be equal to this.handleChange. And the handle change that I'm going to have will look at the event again. In this case, it will look at the event.target, and the event.target will be an input of type files. And so if you remember when we went through the file upload with JavaScript, the event.target of type input, or rather, yeah, of type file, the event.target of type file will also have a key called files. So if I type that, I'm going to have access to the file. So what I can do here is I can do console.log, open parenthesis, open double quote, the name of the class, which is file upload, then the name upload, then dot the name of the method, which is handle change, and then the name of the variable, which is going to be event.target.files, and then I'll also put the real value. So by doing this, you're going to be able to see the file change. So let's save, navigate to the browser, Command Option I to open up the console, and Command K to clear it, and then I'm going to choose a new file. And the second I do, you're going to see that the event.target of files is going to be a file list, which is going to contain a bunch of files. So if I want to take the first file, I'll just have to type event.target.files square bracket 0, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to create state, because this is a class component, so I'm going to just use state. And I'm going to call this file, which is going to be equal to null. And what I'll do in the handle change is that I'm just going to set the file in the state to be equal to event.target.files square bracket 0. So on line 11, I'll type this.setState, open parentheses, open curly braces, file is going to be equal to event.target.files square bracket 0. And what I'll do next for debugging is on line 17, file upload.handle submit, I'll also add this.state.file. This.state.file. All right. So what I can do now is I can clear the console, change the file, and you'll see that I still get that. But what I do when I submit is I'll see the value of the file in my state. So that means that now React has access to this file, and React will be able to submit it, which is what we're going to do next. In order to upload the file, we're going to need to use a uploading library. I've shown you how to do this with Ajax, or rather with the XML HTTP request. I've shown you also how to do it with Fetch. Since we're working with React, I'm just going to be using Axios. And the reason why I use Axios is because it makes our life easier in every step of the way. So I just like Axios. That's a personal preference. It should be fairly easy for you to use Fetch. And the reason why is because the next few steps that we're going to take are basically the same as the ones we took in the JavaScript non-React version. So this should be fairly straightforward from now on if you watch the file upload for non-React. So the first thing we need to do is install Axios. So we're going to type, I'm going to Control-C to interrupt execution, then I'll type npm I Axios. And I actually already did it, so I'll just cut off. And once Axios is installed, I can go in the file upload and I can import it at the top of the file. So I can type import Axios from Axios. All right, then the next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to set up our file upload. So first things first, how do we do that? Well, we need to use our form data. So we can declare const data, is going to be equal to new form data. And then the next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to append the files to form data. In this case, we only have one file. So what we can do is we can type data.append single quote files, which is the name of the key, and then the name of the value will be the value of the file, which is going to be equal to this.state.file. At this point, we have our data. So all we have to do is we have to send this request to Strapi. So let's do that. I'm gonna use async await, which means that I'll declare this method as an asynchronous method, and I'll type on line 23, I'll type const upload res is gonna be equal to await Axios, and the method will be post. The URL will be equal to http://localhost 1337/upload. And we're going to have a data, which is going to be equal to data. So I can just type data. Data can just be typed as data. And that's all we got to do. So at this point, we set up our upload. We set up our data. And this should actually be working. So let's try it out. I'll actually do a console.log statement here with, again, the name of the class, which is file upload. Then the name of the method, which is handle submit. And then I'll type in the name of the variable, which is upload. Typically, I just double tap and copy, but I'll type it, upload res, and then I'll show the value upload res, so that I can see what happened to the file upload request. So let's go ahead. Let's refresh the localhost application, clear the console with Command K, choose a file, press submit, and there we go. We have a forbidden error, 403. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna check why we got that error. First of all, I'm seeing here that upload was not successful. It got a 403, so it's not it didn't work. So let's see why. I'm gonna navigate to Strapi roles and permission. I'm gonna open the public role, and then I'll open up file upload, and I see that I forgot to set this as public. So what I have to do is just check this and then save. And now that I saved, I can actually just press submit again, and let's see what we get. Boom, the file upload was successful. So this is what we needed to do in order to get the file upload to work. So let's quickly recap what we did. We built a component. I used the form because I like to use the handle submit, but you could have used the onClick on the input, although I don't recommend it. Then we have the input on change. On change, we get the event.target.files, which is basically the same thing that we used to do in the JavaScript version. And then we save that to state so that we can have access to this whenever we need it. And then on submit, we use that value from the state. We use a form data. We append the files, and we upload them through Axios. Since we're working with React and we're working with, let's say, more advanced libraries, I'm also going to show you how to perform and show upload progress in React. The reason why I didn't show that in vanilla JavaScript is that from my experience, doing that without Axios is extremely annoying and complicated. I know there's a plugin called jQuery file upload, but unfortunately I was never able to get that to work. So from my experience, performing file upload with progress bar is way easier in React than in vanilla JavaScript. That's why I didn't cover it. So, but we're gonna be able to cover it with Axios because we have a key called onUpload progress. So I'm just gonna copy this name. I'm gonna go to the code, and this is where we have our Axios settings. And I'm just gonna, actually this is the wrong, my bad. So this is where we have our Axios settings, line 23, upload res, method, URL, data. I'm gonna add a new key called onUpload progress, and I'll just type in progress, and I'll just have a console.log. Console.log, open parenthesis, open double quote, file upload dot handle submit, and then onUpload progress, and progress, the name of the variable, and then the value of the variable. It's a little convoluted, but this way it's very easy to see where the console log comes from. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna test it out. Boom, boom, and there we go. We see a bunch of console.log, and we can see what's going on. So as you can see, this progress event has a key called loaded and a key called total. So if we take the loaded divided by the total, we actually get the percentage of file that was uploaded, which is what we're going to be doing. So in other words, const percent is going to be equal to value and total, right? So I'm just going to write a function that receives value and total, and it will return a math.round of value divided by total. And I'll actually use a string so that we can format it properly. So I'll just turn that into a string with backticks. I'll evaluate by using $ curly braces, and then at the end I'll add a percentage sign. So that means that this percent function will just return the string for the percent, and this is going to make our life a little easier. So what we can do here on line 29 is we will actually be able to, first of all, I'll create a new key in the state called percent, which is going to be equal to 0, and I'll go here on the console.log on line 30, and I'll delete it, and I'll instead type percent open parentheses, or actually I'll need to set state, so I'll do this dot set state percent, and percent will be equal to the function percent. So I guess let's call it calculate percent just to avoid confusion, even though this will work. Calculate percent. So I'll take this function and I'll add, the first value will be called progress.loaded, and the second value will be progress.total. Alright, so let's see what we get. The way we're gonna evaluate this change is by going in the render, and in the render I'm just gonna console.log the percent. So const percent equals this dot state, which means that I get the percent from the state, this variable here that gets set here, and then I'll just console.log it. So console.log open parentheses open double quotes, file upload, $render, and then space percent, comma space percent. Okay? So as you can see, percent is 0. Then I'll upload the file. Percent is still 0 when I change the file, but then when I submit, I get percent 1%, and then basically the upload is done. So we're gonna assume that we actually got the entire thing. No, actually we got 1% because we are doing we're getting loaded divided by total without multiplying it by 100. So we're supposed to multiply this by 100 so that we actually get 100% of the progress. So let's try again. And now it's 0, then I submit, and then I get 100%. I'll actually go back and undo the string change. I'll just return a integer because it's going to be more versatile when we create a progress bar. So at this point, just to recap, we have a function calculate percent that given, so I guess int, so given byte total of byte total uploaded return and the total returns percent, or I guess return percent between percent of value divided by total. This will be a more correct way of saying it. So we're returning that. Percent is going to be 0. Percent here in this dot state is shown, and what we're going to do here is we're going to be creating a new, you can call it a component. Technically you could also export it as a separate component, but I'm just going to add it here just to be done faster basically. So I'm going to add a new div, and this div is going to be called class name progress. That's why I would call it a separate component, because I'm going to use a separate class. And I'm going to also have a new second div in here called seek, or rather progress seek. And the progress seek is going to have a style, which is, it's actually dangerous, but in this case it's not, because it's just a number. So style is going to be set to with equal to a string with $ curly braces percent, of percent. So that means that the percentage that we have will be the percentage that this inner div called seek will be wide. So the next thing I'm gonna need to do is I'm gonna go on progress. I'm gonna copy the name progress. I'm gonna open up.css and I'm gonna have progress and progress seek have a height of 3 pixels, have a background of gray color, and I'll actually have progress seek have a different background. So I'll just type a height of 3 pixels for both. Then dot progress will have a background color set to gray, and then dot progress seek will have a background color set to green. So at this point I added a bunch of math, as you saw. So I'm gonna add also margin for progress to make it look better. Margin 24 pixels. Okay, so at this point what I'll do is I'm actually gonna go back to file upload, and instead of having percent set to that, I'll actually type in a number, 12 for example, just to see how it looks. And that's what I wanted to see, whether it was working or not. And apparently it's not. Probably because I mistyped the class. So progress seek, I'm supposed to use 2 underscores. That's what I mistyped. Let's try again. There we go. So now if I change from 12 to 50, of course it's gonna get to 50% of the width. So now I can undo the number and I can instead have the percent. And that way, whichever percent we have of file upload will be shown. So now, if I choose a new file, boom, file, I select, press submit, boom, I get 100%. The extra change that I'm gonna add is I'm gonna also have a new key called loading, which is gonna be set to false. And loading will be set to true. So this dot set state loading will be set to true on the handle submit, and it will be set to false at the end of the handle submit, while percent will just be a number. So that means that when we're loading, so I'm gonna take that in the render, loading. When we're loading, I'm also going to show a message that says loading, or rather uploading. Okay? So it's gonna be a flash, it's gonna be there for like literally an instant, but you can see that it's there and then it goes away. And this is because we're doing it locally. We're gonna do one final tweak, and it's that we're gonna show the progress bar only after the form has been submitted. And we're also gonna reset the submission every time a file changes. So to do that, the logic that we're gonna apply is that this div for progress will be shown only if we have submitted. So I'm gonna type submitted and end, and I'm gonna put the progress in here. And then I'm gonna define submitted, which is gonna come from state. I'm also going to scroll up to the top and add submitted up here, and it's going to be false. And submitted will be set to true on line 28 on the handle submit. So when you submit, submitted will be set to true, but it's not going to be set to false at the end of the handle submit. It will be set to false only when we change the file. So it will be set to false here. This, or rather, submitted is going to be set to false when we change the input. So that means that as of starting point, you have no progress bar. Then you add something, and then you submit, and you press, you see loading, and then the progress bar. And once the progress bar is done, you still see it. So that way, you know that it's successful. While if you change the file, it's actually going to not show it anymore. So this is the entirety of the file upload done with React and Axios. I think this is a pretty good starting point. You can actually extend this by quite a while. Like in production, you can do crazy things. So let me know if you have any other question. I hope you liked it, and thank you for watching.